Hi, and then we're back here again at the Institute for Culinary Arts, and I got a marvelous headache from you just slapping me in the head with that spatula.
That's what you get for wearing that funny suit.
Yeah, I guess it is my own fault, I guess,
But
I'll get over it.
The good thing is you came back with something delicious that we can use.
Aww. Aww.
Okay, let's go on.
Okay, so we're gonna make baklava.
Okay.
So what is baklava, I guess, first of all?
Well, baklava is a Middle Eastern dessert made with layers of what we call phyllo dough, which is a very thin sheets of dough that you can buy actually in the freezer compartment of our grocery store. It comes in thin sheets like this, and it's basically layered with nuts. You have some nut filling over here, and then it's baked. And then at the end, it's soaked with a syrup. So since you brought in so delicious honey from the bees, we're gonna use it as the syrup for the baklava.
Beautiful.
At the end.
I'm so excited right now.
So, do you know how to do this?
I don't.
I guess I'll have to show you.
I'm really just saying that because I want to see you work.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll just stand there and make sure that the table doesn't tip over.
Okay, fine. Okay, so what we have here is some phyllo dough, and we usually thaw it out. It's usually frozen, so you need to thaw it out. So think ahead, and then unroll it. Each sheet, there's a package. Usually comes with 2 rolls, and each roll has sometimes 12 to 20 sheets, and they are thin, very thin, paper thin. So the first thing you want to do is to thaw that out, and the next thing you want to do is think about what it is that you want to layer it with. So we have a mixture of nuts and spices that you made, so we're going to keep it secret until you get to that segment.
It's so secret.
And then the other thing is that we need to have some melted butter to sort of put it between layers of phyllo dough so they don't stick together, and then when you bake so that they will be flaky. So delicious. I think we talked about this earlier, that there are 2 schools of thought about the use of the butter. Traditionally, to brush the phyllo dough, we use what we call clarified butter, and he will explain what it is. But I personally prefer just plain old butter, melted down and brush on. And for me, it has more flavor because you have all that milk protein plus the fat. But there's good use of clarified butter in cooking and baking. And Chef Solberg will tell us why.
Basically, I really like clarified butter because it's basically fattier than regular butter.
That's true.
It sounds wackadoodle. So like butter, as you know, it's emulsified. So it's fat and then milk solids. So when you heat that up, and let it sit, it'll separate. You just skim all the gunk out of it basically, and just kind of ladle the fat carefully out, and it's delicious. But as you said though, like regular butter has more flavor because like you got the milk solids and whatnot. But like there's a good chunk of water and stuff like in there as well, which I don't know. I got water out of the tap at home, so.
It's only 10%. Don't exaggerate.
But like,
but it does. I mean, the water that you cook out of the butter when you clarify it does make the pastry a little more flaky because then you don't have that water that steams it up and gums it up. Yeah. So.
Magic.
Since he made the effort to make clarified butter, we're going to use clarified butter in this segment. So the next thing is that before you start, you got to make sure that you have the filling done. Yeah. And you did this without my knowledge, so you need to tell me what it is.
So basically, this is just walnuts that we just pulsed up. They're still pretty coarse. So it's 1 pound of walnuts that we pulsed up. Then it's a teaspoon of cinnamon, and that's it. Super easy. Like magic.
Great.
That's my secret recipe.
We won't say anything.
Yeah.
My mouth is shut. Okay, so the way baklava is, it's just layers of phyllo dough with layers of nuts. And then once that's assembled, then you just go and bake it off. and then you put the syrup in. So I'll demonstrate how to lay the phyllo dough out onto this pan. So we're gonna make a 9 by 13 pan full of phyllo, baklava. So what you need is a little pastry, a big pastry brush. And I typically just do it right on the stack of phyllo. So you want to lightly brush each sheet with the butter. You don't want to put a lot of fat in because it then is too greasy. So do what painters do, which is dip your brush in and then run it against the side of the pan to get rid of extra fat and then brush it on.
This is my kind of dessert right here.
And then what you want to do is, I usually do this because I'm so lazy about layering. So what you want to do is take the sheet, and if it breaks, it doesn't matter. So think of lasagna. You just want to cover. So because these sheets are so thin, the chances are high that it will break. So what you want to do is just put them into the bottom of your pan. So for the bottom layer, we usually try to put about 6 to 10 layers of phyllo dough. So you just continue on. So now I still have 2 already down.
You're such an artiste.
I know, I like to be neat. And so I'm just doubling up so that I can go faster. So now I have 4 layers already. And it doesn't matter if the phyllo sheet doesn't sit squarely on because the edges will just have extra dough. And the sheets are so thin that, a little extra is not gonna hurt you.
So phyllo, like, how is it made and what's it made of?
Phyllo is just plain and simple. Will you just brush a little on that?
Oh yeah.
Made of flour, water, a little fat, very little fat, and that's it. Traditionally, in the old days, people make them at home, but now it's even in the Middle East where this originates, people don't make them at home anymore because you can buy them easily in the stores.
It's like it got to be a process just getting it this thin. Like it's not like you can just kind of whip it out. Like it's
right. Supposedly, there are people who can do it really well. This is sort of a thinner version of the Eastern European strudel dough, except you stretch it much, much thinner in this case.
Yeah.
So once you have the bottom layers packed, then you can go ahead and put some filling in. So how many layers of filling versus dough, it's all matter of personal preference. Some people like to do 2 or 3. Some people just like to do 1 layer of filling and then 2 or 3 sheets of phyllo dough and then top it off. Some like to do 3, 4 layers.
Yeah.
It's a matter of personal preference. And the filling could be any kind of nuts. Typically in this country anyways, I grew up with friends who are from Greece, and so I got introduced it early, and typically what I get from my friend's mother is nuts, walnuts. But in the Middle East, for instance, I've seen, pistachio nuts being used, and flavored with Middle Eastern spices also.
Delicious. Mm-hmm. So basically just take the filling and you split it on however many layers you want and just kind of sprinkle it even in there. Mm-hmm. Sprinkle dinkle. I've been working on my sprinkling skills.
I'm marveling at how well you can sprinkle.
Isn't it? Mm-hmm. I watched a lot of YouTube videos on how to sprinkle.
And then once you have a layer of nuts in, then you just continue with 2 or 3 sheets of phyllo on top of the nuts, and then you just build it up until you get to the height that you want.
Yeah.
And then...
But like, basically like a stack of phyllo like this will fill a 9 by 13 pan. And it'll be pretty nice and snug in there. It's awesome. All right, so we're just gonna keep stacking here for a little bit because this is gonna take us a little minute.
Right.
You guys just go and enjoy a wonderful little commercial break, and then we'll be right back. I think we will, unless Janet beats me. She might.
Go get some more honey because we may need it.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
thinking all sorts of dessert we can make with them.
We'll make it happen.
With the bee.
I'll go and start pollinating things and make some happen.
Okay.
So just stay tuned, and we'll be right back.